I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, the Senate passes a hurdle toward keeping the government running, but a showdown, or rather a shutdown, may still be on the way. Investigators release new surveillance video and a possible motive in last week's deadly shooting at the Navy Yard in the nation's capital. And we'll have an inside look at what law enforcement and private security are doing to try to keep drugs from crossing the border.
I'm Peggy Pico. Also ahead, San Diego's Convoy District wants to reinvent itself into a cultural and economic destination. How its first night market could kick off that transformation. But first, Governor Brown signs the strictest bill in the nation on fracking. Why both oil companies and environmentalists aren't happy about the new law.
And a dream 30 years in the making is now days away from opening its doors. We'll get a look inside the new downtown Central Library. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Ted Cruz talked for 21 hours, but the Texas Republican lawmaker couldn't stop a Senate vote on a measure to keep the federal government running. Cruz was trying to keep Democrats from removing a provision to defund President Obama's health care law.
If we vote with the majority leader and with the Senate Democrats, we will be voting to allow the majority leader to fund Obamacare on a straight party line vote, a 51-vote partisan vote.
Now, the Senate is expected to vote on the spending bill later this week. Then it goes back to the House. If the two sides cannot agree by Monday, the end of the fiscal year, the government would shut down. Now, the State Department has renewed its global terrorism alert tonight for U.S. citizens. It comes after last weekend's attack on a shopping mall in Kenya, where at least 67 people were killed. Now, the terrorist group Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility. The FBI is helping to investigate the crime scene. FBI also has released surveillance video of the gunman in last week's shooting at the Washington Navy Yard and a motive. Agents say Aaron Alexis left behind a note claiming he was bombarded with extremely low-frequency radio waves, and it drove him to the attack. 12 people were killed. The FBI says Alexis was not targeting anyone in particular. A former San Diego Charger has committed suicide in Georgia. Paul Oliver was a defensive back for the Chargers from 2007 to 2011. He had 62 tackles as a Charger. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Oliver was 29 years old. He is the second former Charger to commit suicide in recent years. Linebacker Junior Seau shot himself in 2012. Seau was found to have suffered concussion-related brain damage. At this time, there's no word on whether Oliver had the same problem. Well, more endorsements tonight in the race for San Diego mayor. The county's Democratic Party is supporting Councilman David Alvarez, and today, Councilman Kevin Faulkner picked up endorsements from three other council members, Lori Zaff, Scott Sherman, and Mark Kersey. Of course, you can find all our coverage of the special election online at kpbs.org/election. San Diego's maritime industry is going to the voters to try to overturn a community plan we told you about last week for Barrio Logan. City Council approved the plan on a 5-4 vote. It would create a buffer zone in a 2-block area separating the shipyards from homes, but the maritime industry says it could drive out shipbuilders and suppliers by eliminating industrial space. They're planning a petition drive to get the matter on the ballot. Supporters of the plan say it will protect neighborhoods. Work is underway on a new community college campus in Barrio Logan. The Cesar Chavez campus will offer vocational training, English as a second language, and other programs with a special emphasis on health careers.
All of our programs are now directly targeted at specific jobs so that the people who come to us can be assured that they will have a job waiting for them at the end of the program.
The new campus is slated to open in about 2 years. San Diego Unified is a runner-up for this year's Broad Prize for Urban Education. It recognizes the district making the most progress over the previous 4 years in several areas. raising student academic performance, and closing the achievement gap between Black, Latino, and low-income students. This was the first year San Diego schools were among the 4 finalists.
You know, even though we didn't get first place, we're still in the top 4 in the United States, and so that is definitely a big win for all of our teachers that have worked their hearts out for our kids, and our parents that are involved, and all the support staff that help make sure that our kids get a quality education.
As a runner-up, San Diego Unified gets $150,000 in scholarships for the most improved high school seniors. A district in Houston won this year's top honor. Folks waiting for their unemployment benefits won't have to wait anymore. Computer problems delayed payments for about 80,000 folks. State workers have been trying to catch up on unverified claims, but California's labor secretary says make the payments now, verify the claims after. Payments start going out tomorrow. And California's minimum wage workers will get their first raise in 6 years. Governor Brown signed a bill increasing the minimum wage to $9 an hour next summer and then $10 an hour by 2016. Brown says it's overdue and will help working class families. The governor also signed California's first law about fracking, but the debate is far from over. Peggy Pico explains the process and why some in San Diego are concerned.
SB 4 was signed into California law on Friday. The bill regulates oil companies using hydraulic fracturing or fracking. This mining technique starts from drilling more than 2 miles deep into the Earth's surface. Then a mixture of high-pressure water, sand, and chemicals are forced into layers of shale, fracturing it apart to release trapped oil and natural gas. Oil companies say fracking provides a new source for fuel, but environmentalists say there's concerns about its effect on ground and surface water and possible triggering of earthquakes. Here with more on the issue is Peg Mitchell with San Diego Sierra Club, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet. And now we asked supporters of this bill for an interview, but they were unable to join us, so we're going to be talking to you about it. Okay. Environmentalists don't necessarily are 100% in support of this new law. How come?
Well, it is got some very good things in it, but it's the things that it lacks that are most problematic, primarily around disclosure of the concentrations and quantities of chemicals. It also has some confusing and murky language that might allow CEQA bypass for environmental review, and could also prohibit us from actually having any kinds of moratoriums or halt to fracking activities just based on the language. So it's just a confusing bill.
Well, I know one of the reasons this bill came about is because of what is believed to be the nation's largest shale formation here in California, which surprised a lot of us, I think. It's known as the Monterey Shale. It covers about 1,700 square miles, starting just below San Francisco and ending around the Los Angeles Basin in Orange County area. It's some 1,700 square miles, and it is believed, as we said, to be one of the largest onshore oil reserves that holds an estimated 15 billion barrels of recoverable oil. So how could fracking over such a large area in our state actually affect us here in San Diego? Because it's not going to be done here.
Well, theoretically, that's true, although in the future, who knows, as they get more and more techniques. But the bottom line is fracking requires tremendous amounts of water that we don't really have a lot of. It takes 1 to 5 million gallons per frac per well times thousands of wells, and we're already fighting over water right now before we even do that. So if you want to have drinkable water that you can turn your tap on and get at a reasonable cost, we should consider that as our drought continues, the Colorado River continues to deplete, and we are in search of ever more water as our population grows.
So for here, as opposed to, I know we hear problems with well contamination or deep water contamination back east, but here it's really the amount of water it takes.
The amount of water, it's the availability of it, and the fact that there is already competition between agriculture and oil industry over that same water.
All right, and now this fracking bill, I understand, goes into effect January, and my understanding of it is it requires oil companies to provide a list of chemicals that they are using. They have to get a permit. They have to notify neighbors before drilling, and they have to monitor this ground and air, water and air quality. That seems like it's reducing some of the risk. Do you agree?
I do agree. It is an incremental step, and that's a good thing. But there's also the fact that it's very difficult to find out, as I mentioned before, the quantities and concentrations, other than going through a very laborious process that's not timely. It's also problematic from the perspective of just being able to mitigate climate change if we go forward with this. So that does nothing. The bill actually doesn't finally protect the climate, protect the air, and protect people in the way that they have the right to be.
Well, I know that Governor Brown called this bill an opportunity, and he said this, we can't miss. That's his words, in light of potential amount of oil reserves, what I understand maybe the largest in the country, tens of hundreds, if not thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs that it could bring to our state. So in regards to the jobs and the economy, do you think it's a good thing?
No, I don't, because I think we fail often to look at, we get blinded by what we see as an opportunity and forget the opportunity costs. So there is a lack, if we invest all of this human capital and money in the fossil fuel infrastructure, we are not looking ahead to our new clean economy. What is the cost? Now, how do we allow people to train for the new clean economy, to get into new jobs? California is attracting tremendous capital for new R&D, for advanced technologies that'll get us off fossil fuels. This is only going to divert our attention for some years until it's too late.
And what would you like to see happen next? More monitoring? I mean, I understand when it comes to earthquakes, we don't know that this might cause earthquakes. We don't know that it does, and we don't know that it doesn't. So would more studies help in that?
Yeah, that's actually a good thing about SB 4. There was a clause in there calling for a moratorium, which is what we need to have. We need a timeout until we understand all these issues. That moratorium clause was removed, but fortunately the scientific studies that are required to be done stays in the bill. So we will have more information on that, which is a good thing. But what we ultimately need is a timeout until we really understand the impacts.
All right, Peg Mitchell with the San Diego chapter of the Sierra Club. Thanks for the information.
Thank you very much.
Oceanside may become the next city to ban dog sales in pet stores. Council is considering the ban tonight. It would be similar to one passed here in the city back in July. Supporters of the ban say they're trying to stop puppy mills. The owner of a pet store in Oceanside says he'll fight back if the ban passes. Getting a truckload of illegal drugs into the U.S. can mean huge profits for smugglers, and stopping them is a big challenge. More than 5 million trucks came into the U.S. from Mexico last year. Fronteras reporter Jill Replogel explores how authorities and trucking companies are trying to stay ahead of smugglers.
This is the control room of this cross-border trucking company. Dispatchers spend their days talking over the radio with drivers and poring over computer screens, constantly monitoring the whereabouts and activities of their 150 trucks. The company president asked that we not identify the firm or its employees out of security concerns.
We got it on the map every time that the driver is moving, standing by, stopping a light or stuff like that. We know where the truck is at.
All of its trucks are equipped with GPS monitors. Exact routes for the trucks are established from a warehouse in Mexico to the customer in the U.S. And software tells dispatchers if a truck goes off that route or stops for more than 2 minutes. The trucking firm even hires private investigators to follow trucks at random to make sure they're not involved in anything illicit. The major security risk is drug smuggling. And that risk has grown, along with an 80% increase in truck traffic at the U.S.-Mexico border since 1995. That's the year after the North American Free Trade Agreement went into effect. This explosion in trade means more opportunities for drug smugglers to get their loads across the border undetected. And while, at least at San Diego area border crossings, more drugs are detected in passenger cars, commercial trucks yield huge seizures. On average, more than 1,800 pounds of drugs per bust last year. Here at the Otay Mesa Commercial Port of Entry, Customs and Border Protection officers process on average more than 2,000 trucks a day. And border agents have seen drugs hidden in just about everything.
You see it in cans of cheese, and you see it mixed in with fabric softener or laundry detergent. And the reason they do all of that is they think that it masks the odor from the dogs. It isn't successful in doing that, but it does make it hard to get the stuff out of the cans, right?
At the border, agents may send a truck to secondary inspection, where it could go through a giant X-ray machine or have its cargo offloaded. Several hours after we visited the Otay Mesa cargo crossing recently, agents found 1,600 pounds of marijuana concealed in a shipment of limes.
Shipments of illegal narcotics coming across the border from Mexico often make their first stop here in the Los Angeles area. Law enforcement recently uncovered a major meth distribution ring that was using one of these truck yards to offload shipments of meth stuffed inside PVC pipes and hidden in the axles of big rig trucks.
Los Angeles is really a transshipment point. We are essentially located to be able to push the narcotics from California in multiple directions.
Woodland helped dismantle the smuggling ring that was using PVC pipes in August. During the 2.5-year investigation, law enforcement seized more than 2,400 pounds of meth. That's around 11 million doses. Back at the trucking company's yard in Otay Mesa, a security guard inspects a truck to make sure there's nothing attached to the bottom. He taps the truck's wheels with a baseball bat because tires that have something hidden inside make a distinct sound. The company is meticulous about security measures.
Especially if you're moving from one side to another, you got to have security in everything, in every single little thing. So
he says there's just too much at stake to take any risks. Jill Replogle, KPBS News.
Border Patrol is going to test dashboard cameras for its cars and overhaul training for its new agents. It's all part of an effort to deal with criticism about use of force against those crossing the border illegally. Customs and Border Protection also plans to change how it oversees use of force training and how it tracks incidents. San Diego County had a record number of deaths during the last flu season. 65 people died, most of them elderly, and most with other medical problems. The health department says last year's strain was especially severe. Even healthy people had a hard time getting over it. About half of all folks with chronic illnesses don't take their medications on time. Now, a San Diego company has introduced a mobile phone app to keep people on track. Joining us to talk about it, KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg. Kenny, tell us more about this app.
It's called the Care for Today Mobile Health Manager. It was introduced by Janssen Healthcare Innovation in La Jolla. Consumers can use it to set up reminders to take prescription drugs, over-the-counter meds, or even vitamins.
So how does it actually work?
Well, you simply download the app to any mobile phone. Then you program in each medication with the time of day you're supposed to take it. Then at the designated time, you're sent a reminder with a picture of the drug.
And Kenny, how does the app actually track whether you're taking your pills or not?
Each time you get a reminder, you have to respond, and all of the responses are recorded and put into a report. You can see the report right on your phone, and you can set it up to automatically send the report to a loved one.
Oh boy, so everybody stays on track, right? How do consumers get the Care for Today mobile healthcare app?
They can download it for free from iTunes or Google Play.
KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg.
I'm Gwen Eiffel on the next News Hour. What premiums will cost you under those new health care insurance exchanges? That's Wednesday on the PBS News Hour.
Don't know if you heard about this. San Diego's emerging Convoy District is becoming a cultural, dining, and economic destination. Peggy Pico explains how it plans to accomplish the transformation.
We've seen it here before. Neighborhoods like North Park, Little Italy, and University Heights, to name a few, become trendy. Business improves and housing prices rise. Now the Convoy District, that sits between the 805, 52, and 163 freeways, hopes to make itself another community success. Here to tell us how is my guest, Ping Wang, owner of Pangea Bakery and co-director of the Convoy Night Market. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Ping, for those who aren't familiar with the Convoy area, sort of near Kearny Mesa, describe the neighborhood for us.
Well, I actually started as an industrial center of San Diego. That's where a lot of warehouses and big businesses usually traditionally be. And a lot of sort of Asian restaurants started establishing themselves there in the 90s. And so now there's over 200 different restaurants, establishments, and businesses there. And so it's also become the center point of where you want to go for sort of authentic Asian food.
And goods as well. Lots of shops there as well.
Absolutely.
This weekend is the first night market. It's happening this Saturday there. What can we expect from that? What is it?
So night markets are sort of a staple of the cultural outings in Asia. So big cities of Taipei, Shanghai, or what have you, Seoul, they all have these nighttime-oriented streets filled with stalls and booths, largely of food vendors, but also apparel and groceries, what have you. And here in the United States, we've had less of that. We've had farmers markets, for example, but this thing is going to be a little bit more reflective of that. It's at night, it's going to have a lot of food, and it's also going to have a lot of entertainment. We have dancing groups, performances, we have line dancers, we have hip-hop groups, or what have you, flash mobs coming in to demonstrate. So it's like a cultural fusion, if you will.
All right. And the market is part of a larger strategy, I understand, to make the Convoy area a destination community. What sort of barriers do you think have kept it from becoming this sort of community that you're trying to move it into right now?
Well, I think historically, I mean, the restaurants are there and the people are there, and it's already sort of a destination for many San Diegans. But interestingly, I think there hasn't been that sort of cohesion, whether it be politically, whether it be business or otherwise. And we're trying to establish that. A lot of second generation Asian Americans are coming together, for example, and really identifying, have built upon what our forefathers have built there. And it's also interesting to note that, you know, San Diego has the largest percentage of Asian Americans amongst the top 10 cities in the United States, and yet we don't have a really defined Japantown, Chinatown, or other sort of enclave of that nature. And so we're really trying to regress that irony by creating something like this. So it'll be a cultural gem for all of San Diego as well.
And you also want to improve the business community there, and what would the benefits of that be?
Absolutely. Well, bringing more people and more awareness is the first stepping stone. So with events such as the night market and also beautification of the neighborhood, followed by other sort of events, will bring awareness, and that will actually increase business flow, but also lift all boats in San Diego as San Diego sort of becomes more cultural in a sense. I think oftentimes it's criticized for being just about a beach town and a sort of a small town type of feel, but now we're bringing a cosmopolitan air with additional cultures and really also honoring our sort of historical and cultural roots.
And I know one way you're doing that, and tell me if there's others as well. You're doing some micro incubator businesses. Tell me about what's going on there.
Absolutely. So the idea isn't just purely about food and about business districts, it's about innovation as well. And so as a reflection of that, as growing up I have my cultural historical roots, but I'm also an engineer and technologist, as well as, you know, my family owns this bakery and I'm helping out with that. And so we're fusing everything together. And that's really the essence of innovation, isn't it? It's really about bringing all these disparate ties and strings together and finding new sort of hybridization. So not only is the night market it's not just purely Asian. We have craft brewers there, right? So this is, where else in the world are you going to find craft brewers right next to, you know?
But there's incubator opportunities, let's say, for a craft brewing little startup that wants to have a foothold here in the Convoy District?
Absolutely. So, for example, there you've got, you know, the land is larger and plentiful, large parcel size. So we have a number of microbrewers there already. We have Society of Helms, etc. So it's already spreading and coming into that area. And also, not only in terms of food, as I mentioned, but entrepreneurial opportunities, whether internet startups, medtech, biotech, or what have you. We have a number of people just congregating there. Partly it's the access to great dining, great food, to other businesses. It's also a little bit cheaper than, for example, being in downtown. So it's great for that entrepreneurial environment.
All right. Well, Ping Wang, thank you so much for this update. And I want to let folks know that the first San Diego night market is this Saturday night, September 28th. It opens at 5 p.m. in the Zion Market parking lot. Admission and parking are free. And for more information, go to our website, kpbs.org.
It's so much more than just books and computers, and this weekend, San Diegans will get a sneak peek at one of the city's newest attractions, the San Diego Central Library downtown.
In the East Village next to the ballpark is the highlight of a San Diego dream 30 years in the making. With underground parking for 250 vehicles, the majority for public use. Welcome to the Library of the Future. With its massive lobby and exposed concrete, this place has something for everyone. Deborah Barrow is the library director.
We've got about 1.2 million items available for people to see.
From a video wall dedicated to scenic shots of San Diego, to the People's Penthouse, a huge space to read, relax, and gather at the base of the library's iconic dome. Built out of steel, the top was purposely left open to signify knowledge and enlightenment. The place is also filled with various artwork commissioned by the city, and surprise, even the restroom basins resemble an open book. But this is for washing your hands, not reading.
There's an automated materials handling system. There's faster, more accurate self-check machines, a number of things. Computers throughout the library. We've got 300 computers or more in this library for people to come and use free of charge.
Adults with disabilities have the iCan Center. It went from 2 computers to 16, with iCan 2 for children in the works. And there's the Foster Teen Center, 3 times the size of the old space, with lots of room to study and chill. The new Central Library opens to the public on Monday, with a preview event set for this Saturday from 11 to 6. And KPBS Midday Edition will be live from the library on Monday, opening day. Host Maureen Cavanaugh will be joined by some special guests who will tell us more about what makes this library so unique. Listen to KPBS Radio from noon to 1 on Monday, and of course we'll have continuing coverage right here on Evening Edition. San Diego temperatures are about to start going up again. One more cool day tomorrow, then a warm-up as we head into the weekend. Upper 80s for the Inland Valley by Saturday. The mountain areas will be breezy tomorrow. High wind warning still in effect until morning, and then sunny in the desert with temperatures in the 80s and 90s. Of course, you can find tonight's stories and download the KPBS app, all on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Good night.